To Sherlock Holmes, she is always
the woman.
It's not that he felt any emotions akin to love for Irene Adler.
Ah!
All emotions, and that one especially, were abhorrent to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced mind. And yet there was one woman to him, and that woman was the late Irene Adler, of questionable memory. I haven't seen much of Holmes recently. My marriage had drawn us apart. But one night, it was on the 20th of March, 1888, I was on my way home from a journey to see a patient, when my way led me through Baker Street. As I passed the well-remembered door, I was seized with a desire to see Holmes again, and how he was employed, his incredible powers. I knocked on the door and was admitted to the chamber that had in part once been mine own.
Wedlock suits you, Watson. You've gained 7.5 pounds since I last saw you.
7!
Oh, I should have thought a trifle more. And back in practice, I see. I didn't know you were going back into harness.
How did you know?
Well, my dear fellow, if a gentleman enters my room smelling of iodoform and wearing a black mark of nitrated silver upon his right forefinger, with a bulge in the right of his top hat where he secretes his stethoscope, I should be dull indeed if I did not declare him to be an active member of the medical profession.
When you give your reasons, it all seems so incredibly simple. Yet at each successive instance of your reasoning, I am baffled until you explain your processes. Yet I think my eyes are as good as yours.
Indeed they are, Watson. You see, but you do not observe. By the way, since you're interested in these little problems, you might be interested in this one that came by the last post.
It was undated, with neither a signature nor address. There will call upon you tonight at 7:45, it said.
A gentleman who desires to consult with you on a matter of the very deepest moment. Your recent service to one of the royal families of Europe have shown that you are one who can be trusted in a matter which is of the most delicate position, that it cannot be exaggerated. This account of you we have from all quarters received. Be then in your quarter at that hour, and do not take it amiss if your visitor wears a mask.
What do you deduce from that, Watson?
The man who wrote it must be well to do. Such paper could not be had for under half a crown a packet. It is peculiarly strong and stiff.
Peculiar, that's the very word. And it's not an English paper at all. Hold it up to the light.
There's a watermark, there's a large E, a small G, a P, a large G, and a T woven into the fabric of the paper.
What do you make of that?
The name of a writer, no doubt,
Oh.
or his monogram.
No, not at all. The G and the T stand for Gesellschaft, which is the German for company. It's their customary contraction, rather like our CO. And the man who wrote this is obviously a German. This account of you we have from all quarters received. A Frenchman or Russian could not have written that. It only remains, therefore, for us to discover what is required by this German who prefers wearing a mask to showing his face. And here he comes now, if I'm not mistaken, to resolve all our doubts.
I'd better go, Holmes.
Oh, no, stay where you are. I'd be quite lost without my Boswell. And this seems to be quite an interesting case. It would be a pity to miss it.
But your client?
Oh, don't mind about him. He'll probably need your help, and so may I. Stay where you are and give us your best attention. Come in.
A man entered, whose dress conveyed the impression of barbaric opulence, and whose richness would in England be considered bad taste. He wore on the upper part of his face extending down past the cheekbone, a black visored mask.
You got my note?
I have indeed. And this is my friend and companion, Dr. John Watson, who is good enough to occasionally help me in some of my cases. Whom have I the honour to address?
You may address me as the Count von Kram. I understand this gentleman, your friend, is a man of honour and discretion, who I can trust with a matter of absolute secrecy. If not, then I will prefer to communicate with you on your own.
You may say anything before this gentleman that you may say to me.
Then I must begin by binding you both to absolute secrecy for the next 2 years. After that time, the matter will be of no importance. At present, it is not so much too much to say that if it has such weight, it may influence European history.
I promise.
And I.
You will excuse this mask. The august person that sent me wishes his agent to remain unknown to you. I must confess at once that the title I have just given myself is not exactly my own.
I was aware of that. If your Majesty would condescend to state this case, I should be better able to advise you. Your Majesty had not spoken before I was aware that I was addressing Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ornstein, Grand Duke of Kassel-Felstein and hereditary King of Bohemia.
You are right. I am the king. Why should I try to conceal it?
Why indeed?
You must understand that I am not accustomed to dealing with such business on my own person. But the matter was so delicate that I could not confide it in an agent without putting myself in danger. I travelled incognito from Prague in order to consult with you.
Then pray consult.
Some 5 years ago, during a lengthy stay in Warsaw, I made the acquaintance of the well-known adventuress Irene Adler. Her name may be familiar to you.
Yes.
By reputation only.
As I understand, Your Majesty, you became entangled with this young person and wrote her some compromising letters. You are now anxious to get these letters back.
Precisely, but how?
And how will you do that? Was there a secret marriage?
No, certainly not.
No secret papers or certificates?
Not at all. I may have made some intemperate remarks verbally,
Then I fail to follow Your Majesty. If this young person should produce the letter for blackmail or other purposes, how is she to prove their authenticity?
but there is the writing,
Oh, forgery.
my private notepaper,
Stolen.
my own seal,
Imitated.
the photograph.
Bought.
We are both in the photograph.
Oh dear. That is very bad. Your Majesty has indeed committed an indiscretion.
I was mad, insane.
You have compromised yourself seriously.
I was but the crown princess. I was young. I am but 30 now.
It must be recovered.
We have tried and failed. She will not sell.
Then it must be stolen.
5 attempts we have made. Twice, burglars in my employ have ransacked her house. Once, her luggage was distracted whilst she was travelling. 2 times she's been waylaid without any result.
No sign of it.
None at all. Absolutely none.
It's a very pretty little problem.
Yes, but a very serious one to me.
Very indeed. And what does she propose to do with this photograph?
To ruin me.
How?
I am to be married
Oh, so I've heard.
to Clotilde von Saxe-Meiningen, the second daughter of the King of Scandinavia. You may know of her family's strict principles. She herself is the very soul of delicacy. Any shadow of a doubt over my conduct and the matter will be at an end.
And what of Irene Adler?
She threatens to send the photograph, and she will do it. I know she will do it. You do not know her. She has the soul of steel. She has the face of the most beautiful woman and the mind of the most resourceful of men. So I wonder a lady in her experience may not be more considerate of my position.
And you're quite sure she hasn't sent it yet?
I am sure,
Ah,
because she threatens to send it on the day the betrothal was made public, and that will be next Monday.
Ah, then we have 3 days. That's very fortunate, because I do have 1 or 2 matters of importance to deal with at the moment. Your Majesty will stay in London for the present?
You will find it at Langham, under the name of Count von Clan.
Then I shall send you a note to let you know of my progress.
I shall await with all anxiety.
Then, as to money?
You have carte blanche.
Absolutely.
I tell you, I would give one of my provinces for that, in my kingdom for that photograph.
And for present expenses?
You have £300 in gold and 700 in notes.
And what is Mademoiselle's address?
Riley Lodge, Serpentine Avenue, St John's Wood.
Just one more question. What are the dimensions of this photograph?
About so,
Mounted?
on stiff paper.
Precisely. Then good night, Your Majesty, and I hope to have some good news for you soon. And good night to you too, Watson. If you'd be good enough to call on me at 3 tomorrow afternoon, I should very much like to chat this matter over with you. I left the house early the next morning in the guise of a groom out of work. I lounged around the road and helped the guys rub down the horses, for which I received twopence, a glass of half an hour, 2 fills of shag tobacco, and as much information as I could desire.
and what of Irene Adler?
The daintiest thing under a bonnet, so they all say to a man. She leads a very quiet life, drives out every day at 5 and returns every evening at 7 for dinner. Seldom goes out at other times except when she sings, has only one male visitor, a Godfrey Norton Jr. of the Inner Temple. I learned that he was the son of a prominent lawyer. That sounded ominous. I was balancing the matter over in my mind when a hansom cab drove up to Bryony Lodge, and out jumped a well-attired young gentleman. Godfrey Norton Jr. himself, there could be no doubt. I observed him through the window of the house into the sitting room. He was talking excitedly, waving up and down, waving his arms. Miss Irene, on the other hand, listened calmly, her lovely face showing nothing more than a slight hint of amusement.
You there, taxi! Drive like the devil. First to Gross and Hankey in Regent Street, then to the Church of St. Monica on the Edgware Road. Half a guinea if you do it in 20 minutes.
Gross and Hankey, the company that employed the elder Godfrey Norton, and possibly the hiding place of the photograph. This was too good to lose, Watson.
Taxi! The Church of St. Monica, and half a sovereign if you reach it in 20 minutes.
But this was even better. I jumped on the back of the hansom cab and held on tightly as it raced and bumped its way to the Church of St. Monica.
Heavens, Holmes, you might have been killed.
Oh, not a mode of transport I recommend, Watson, but instinct trumped caution, and it was clear what was in the wind.
Really? What?
Oh, all in good time, Watson, all in good time. I arrived at the church at 11:51 by my watch, precisely. I waited 2 minutes before entering the church following Miss Adler, covered in dust, looking every inch the derelict ostler. There wasn't a soul there other than the 2 I followed and a clergyman, all 3 in a knot in front of the altar.
I say, you there! By Jove, what a bit of luck to find you here.
I beg your pardon, Governor. I means no harm. I've just come in for some decent...
Right. But look here, that lady, the law requires that... How would you like to earn half a sovereign?
What I have to do for it?
Oh, do not be alarmed, sir. Simply put, this gentleman and I would be grateful to you if you'd be a witness at our wedding.
What, you and him?
Yes, we're eloping. Isn't it just awful? there is a time element, don't you see? So why don't we just launch right into it, hmm?
Dearly beloved,
And so it was that I assisted in the tying up of Miss Irene Adler, spinster, to Godfrey Norton Jr., bachelor. At the end of the service, the bride presented me with this golden sovereign, which I intend to wear on my keychain in memory of the occasion.
Say yes.
Yes. But Watson, what do you make of the great haste in this matter?
It did strike me, Holmes. You arrived at the church at 11:51.
State your name.
Nigel Smith.
And you entered the church at 11:53. The law requires that marriages are completed before noon.
Quite so. So why today? Why not wait until tomorrow?
I don't know.
But soon you shall know. I shall need your cooperation, Watson.
I should be delighted.
You don't mind breaking the law
Well,
and risking possible arrest. I assure you it's for a very good cause.
well, I'm your man.
I knew I could rely on you.
And what do you want me to do?
Oh, you are to be at Bridie Lodge when Miss Adler arrives back at 7 o'clock.
husband and wife.
Miss Irene, or Madam Irene rather, will return at 7. You are to be there when she arrives.
And what then?
Do nothing. There'll be some unpleasantness. Do not join in. It will result in me being conveyed into the house. You are to station yourself by the sitting room window
Yes.
and watch me closely. When you see me raise my hand thus, you are to throw this through the window into the room, at the same time raising the cry of fire.
I say, Holmes.
Oh, it's nothing very formidable. A plumber's smoke rocket fitted at both ends of the cap to make it self-lighting.
It does seem rather
The
extreme.
cause, Watson, the cause.
You can rely on me.
I never
absolutely.
doubted it.
I left Baker Street at 6:15, and it wanted 10 minutes to the hour when I arrived at the entrance to Bryony Lodge. 7 p.m. precisely, a cab drew up at Bryony Lodge, and the former Miss Irene Adler emerged, only to be surrounded immediately by the most unsavory characters.
Allow me to escort you inside, my lady.
No, allow me.
Boy, I was here.
You ruffians!
Boy, you.
My instincts urged me to help my friend, but I remembered Holmes' instructions and held my hand.
Brave fellow, are you hurt?
It's but a trifle, my lady. I'd risk much more to save him from the mercies of that lot.
Oh, I cannot leave you to lie in the street. Oh, come inside, I implore you.
I've never been so ashamed of myself in all my life. When I saw the grace and kindliness with which a beautiful creature attended to my friend. But it would be the blackest treachery to draw back now. I hardened my heart, clutched my smoke bomb in my hand.
You're the fellow that witnessed my marriage this morning, are you not?
Oh, ma'am, I am that. Nigel Smith at your service. I've come by in the hopes you might honour me with some job or work, if you'll pardon me effrontery.
Not at all. I may indeed have a job for you. You were so brave to come to my defence.
It's all right, ma'am. I couldn't leave you to the likes of that lot. I heard them say you had something they wanted to take from you.
Ah, that, yes.
Well, ma'am, it's been a privilege to be of service to a great lady like yourself.
Oh, not such a great lady. My father was a blacksmith. I have groomed horses myself. I would be doing so today had I been born a male. Instead, I was expected to marry a local boy. A fate I was forced to flee.
Oh, ma'am, you have married well after all, if I may say so.
Have I? I would have hoped, had I married at all, for it to be somebody more my equal intellectually. Or a king, perhaps?
Oh, my king, my lady jokes.
Mr. Smith, I may have a job for you as it happens. I will pay 2 gold sovereigns.
I'll be honoured, ma'am, honoured.
Good. Then, take this parcel. I bid you hold it close to you, and neither open it, nor try to discover its contents. You are to take it to the river, to the deepest, remotest part of the river. Throw it in, and watch it sink to the bottom. Will you do that?
I will, ma'am.
This parcel has meant only pain and degradation to me. It is a memento of a man who held my heart captive for 2 years, only to cast it aside when it ceased to be convenient. Oh, take it, I pray you. What was that? Did you not hear it? Something stirred outside the window.
I heard nothing.
There is someone there. Oh, those villains that would rob me. Oh, protect me from them, I beg you.
Really, Miss Adler, I hardly think you need my protection or the protection of any man.
Oh, I do have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
You do indeed, and the pleasure is all mine. May I ask how you saw through my disguise?
Oh, intuition, nothing more. The instinct of a blacksmith's daughter. But how did you know I knew?
Oh, deduction, nothing less. A practical lady like yourself would hardly entrust to a stranger that which she could easily destroy herself.
And your friend?
Oh, yes, Watson. Watson, come to the window, dear fellow. This is my good friend and invaluable chronicler, Dr. John Watson.
Delighted to make your acquaintance, Mrs. Norton.
Gentlemen, you may take this to your client and tell him I have no further need of it. I am loved by a better man than he, and shall trouble him no more.
Is it true what your message said? You have the photograph?
I have.
Oh, my dear sir, you are so formidable. After all my failed attempts, how did you get it from her?
I managed to get into her home with the help of Confederates.
The man who attacked you.
Precisely.
What of the hasty marriage, Holmes? That continues to puzzle me.
Married? The lady is married?
She is indeed, to a young Englishman by the name of Godfrey Norton Jr. And the haste was in expectation of the arrival of Godfrey Norton Sr., who was unlikely to approve.
But she couldn't love him.
Oh, we must hope she does, for it would spare your Majesty all fear of future annoyance.
Yes, that is true. But, oh, if only she was on my own station, what a queen she would have made. But this is not the photograph.
What?
It is but a theatrical photograph of Irene on her own. And there's a letter, sir, addressed to you.
My dear Mr. Sherlock Holmes, when you read this message, I will be on board a ship bound to the continent. I hope you will forgive me this final deception, but I could not, in conscience, leave the objects you sought in the hands of one who so grievously wronged me, and may even use it against me some day.
I would never.
You may rest easily. I'm a married woman now, and I have no desire for my husband or his family to learn of my prior entanglements. I was warned of the King's arrival in England, Mr. Holmes, and that he would likely engage your services, and so I prepared my defence, including this letter, in anticipation of our meeting, which has now transpired as you are reading it, but which, at this writing, I await with the sincerest eagerness and excitement. Your admiring servant, Irene Norton, née Adler.
What a woman, what a woman. Would she not have made an admirable queen? If only she was, it was a pity she was not on my level.
A pity indeed. I'm sorry I could not have brought your Majesty's business to a more successful conclusion.
On the contrary, my dear sir, nothing could be more successful. The photograph is as good as if it were in the fire.
That was how a great scandal was averted, and how the best plans of Mr. Sherlock Holmes were beaten by the wit of a woman. Holmes did indeed attach the sovereign to his watch chain, and I have seen him gaze upon it on occasion with little pleasure, I think. And when he speaks of Irene Adler, it is always under the honourable title of
The woman